Red Dead Redemption 2 is more than a game. It's a story. A story of the fading era of the cowboy and gunslinger. A story that no longer has a place in the world today. A story of family, responsibility, loss, and love. A story of a dying man trying to fix what he has wronged. A masterpiece, a marvelously orchestrated story with deep meaning and themes of family and loyalty, and that someone can always change who they once were. The believability of an outstanding story and the actions taken within it make you bond with a character in ways never seen before. This is going to be a video of my understanding of the story of Red Dead Redemption 2, and how I interpret it during multiple playthroughs of the game. This video is going to focus on Arthur Morgan and the character development he goes on throughout the story, to the meaning of other characters that surround Arthur and their impact on him, to themes surrounding the Red Dead story and their impact to the player throughout the story and the immersive world of Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, most people like to start off with world building in their videos and reviews of Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'm going to ignore world building until it becomes necessary to talk about. We are introduced to the Vanderlyn gang, hiding within the mountains during a snowstorm looking for shelter, and trying to outrun the Pinkertons after a botched robbery of Blackwater. And we can see they're already on their last leg, already starting off with one of them dying. The gang is a motley crew of people of all walks of life, to stone cold killers, to becoming an outlaw by pure circumstance, to just a simple man getting by. The gang is led by Dutch Vanderlyn, a preaching man of high moral grounds and ethics, that leads the gang in an almost cult-like following of his loyalty to him. We are introduced to his compassions and morals when the gang has to save Sadie Adler from the O'Driscoll gang, and allow her to stay with them till she gets back on her feet, allowing the player to see the dynamic of the gang fast within the story, seeing that everyone respects Dutch and his decisions he makes for them all, no matter the cost, no matter the harm done to the gang, showing there is an if the ends meet the means philosophy of the gang. The gang is led to believe they have a morality code of only robbing the rich and giving back to the poor, aka themselves, but they paint themselves in the light that they are morally just of their actions, and that Dutch always has a plan.
I had a goddamn plan!
He believes himself to be a visionary, a man of high honor and prestige, that he has to lead his people to the promised land, Tahiti.
Where the hell is Tahiti?
South Pacific, an untouched paradise.
Who lives there?
Tahitians, I guess.
But before we talk about the rest of the characters and more of the story, we have to talk about the problems the gang faces. A big theme in the game is that civilization is coming for the West. It's 1899, and with the turn of the century, the day of outlaws and gangs robbing and killing is coming to an end. The world is moving west and bringing peace and stability. Corruption is clamped down, gangs and outlaws are hunted down, and the era of the gunslinger is coming to an end. The world has now become smaller and smaller, making it harder for the gang to get away. And with the continuous causing of scenes everywhere they go, from robbing banks, trains, and getting mixed in with family feuds, it isn't hard for the government to keep closing in on the gang.
What a fine young man. And in such complex circumstances. Arthur, isn't it? Arthur Morgan?
Who are you?
Yes, Arthur Morgan. Vanderlyn's most trusted associate. You've read the files. Typical case. Orphaned street kid seduced by that maniac's silver tongue and matures into a degenerate murderer. Agent Milton? Agent Ross. Pinkerton Detective Agency, seconded to the United States government. Nice to finally meet. We know a lot about you.
Do you?
You're a wanted man, Mr. Morgan. There's $5,000 for your head alone.
$5,000? For me? Can I turn myself in?
We want Vanderlyn.
Old Dutch. I haven't seen him for months.
That's so. Because I heard a guy fitting his description robbed a train belonging to Leviticus Cornwall up near Granite Pass.
Oh, ain't that a little old-fashioned nowadays?
Apparently not. Listen. This is my offer, Mr. Morgan. Bring in Vanderlyn, and you have my word you won't swing.
Oh, I ain't gonna swing anyways, Agent,
Milton.
You see, I haven't done anything wrong, aside from not playing the games to your rules.
Spare me the philosophy lesson. I've already heard it from Mac Callender.
Mac Callender?
He was pretty shot up by the time I got to him. So really, it was more of a mercy killing. Slow, but merciful.
You enjoy being a rich man's toy, do you?
I enjoy society, flaws and all. You people venerate savagery, and you will die. Savagely. All of you.
Oh, we're all gonna die, Agent.
Some of us sooner than others. Good day, Mr. Morgan.
Goodbye.
Enjoy your fishing, kid, while you still can.
This scene not only shows us that the gang is being tracked and is wanted, if that isn't prevalent already to the player, but sets up the loyalty that Arthur holds and the morality line he follows. That he will not give up his family and will definitely not give up Dutch. And then even Arthur reinforcing the idea of the West fading.
The whole world's changing. Even I see that now. Our time is pretty much past. They don't want folk like us no more. This there rules will be damned with you. No more outlaws. No more killers. Now it's us being hunted. Oh, they ain't stopping. We went and made our choices a long time ago, so I guess we gotta pay for our sins.
We then slowly get introduced to the other characters in the gang and their roles to play. But in this video we are only going to focus on Arthur, Dutch, John, and Micah, and what they represent to Arthur and their meaning in the story. When we first begin to learn of Arthur and his character, the player is appalled or a little disturbed by his actions. The senseless robbing, intimidation, and sometimes murder. Arthur is a bad man that does bad things. But because of Dutch's preaching, he thinks that they are morally just through his actions. And Dutch likes to use Arthur for intimidation and deals and debts.
You borrowed money from my business partner, Herr Strauss. You owe him, you took the money. He wants it back, what's not to understand? Where's our money?
I don't have it.
Sell your place.
We already owe more than it's worth.
Then sell your wife, or your family, or something. We ain't your idea of charity. Is that clear?
Thomas!
What are you looking at?
Thomas!
I said what you looking at, woman.
My husband isn't well. If we could just have more...
Like I said, we ain't nobody's idea of charity. Get us the money.
Arthur on the outside is a brute of a man that gets what he wants by using violence if necessary and killing those that get in his way or a gang member's way. But he doesn't take joy in it. He's Dutch's third voice behind Hosea. He is well respected within the gang, later on becoming the moral compass of the gang. But as we get to learn more of Arthur, he begins to show his selflessness and good-natured personality and a hidden charisma. He isn't much of a talker or a speech giver, because all of his life Dutch has given all of the speeches. Instead, he tells the player how he feels from body movement and actions throughout the story, and writing down his thoughts in his journal. He seems always to know what the right thing to do is when it comes to it, and has a high sense of loyalty, and he is only what can be described as an anti-hero. Not only giving him these attributes as an intimidating brute of a man that also shows care and compassion to others. Nothing new to the male character, but it's the way they explore them and dive deeper into the morals and the dilemmas given to him throughout the story. Having the ability to save or kill people, to little things like helping around the camp, or becoming friends with a veteran. All of which kind of affect how others will treat Arthur and how the game can change around you. Giving the player a believable character that you can relate to based on how you play the game, either by taking care of those in camp, saving people in need, or dragging a man across the countryside because he looked at you funny. And because of this feature in the story that follows, Arthur Morgan is undeniably one of the best written characters of all video game history. John represents Arthur when he was a younger man. They're like brothers growing up in a world that no longer wants them or has a need for them. So they took up the life of the gunslinger, the robber, and the killer, being basically adopted by Dutch and Hosea. But John has something that Arthur never could have. It's a family. During the second half of the story, Arthur continuously urges John to leave with his family and get out of the gang while he still can.
I had a lot of time to think in that jail, and I feel like I just don't know Dutch no more.
You ain't the only one.
And this plan to get us out, it just feels... I don't know.
Like he's stringing us along, I know.
Killing in cold blood, revenge, we all do bad things, but he seems to enjoy it now. It's like he just wants to create more enemies, more chaos.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I love Dutch. He saved me a long time ago. I feel like in Saint Denis, when I got arrested, maybe he could have done something.
I feel like you should take your woman and child and get lost.
Do you?
What reason you got to stick around at this point? It's done. I don't see no way out of any of this.
What about loyalty?
That's long been broken.
But what are you gonna do?
Gotta see this through. Try and make some of it right. There was a code we had. Gotta still mean something.
Sure, I know, but
Listen to me. When the time comes, you gotta run and don't look back. This is over.
Arthur has thrown away all the family he could have had other than the gang. And the only woman he loved got in the way of the life he lived, and he couldn't pick which one he loved more. This is something we see in Arthur's journal that he battles with, and if it's the right decision that he made. But he wishes he would have fixed or gone this way in his life. But he didn't, and now he has a chance to give John the life Arthur could never have, being a family man. Micah represents what Arthur can be, or could have been. He's the worst parts of Arthur, depicting on the whole gang and the manipulation of others to get what he wants. He finds pleasure in causing pain to others and killing needlessly at random, with no remorse or really any moral groundings. He's a bad man that cares for no one but himself and the betterment of himself. Arthur could have been Micah within his lifetime with something just a little more to push him over the edge. Either Dutch being a little less of a moral compass in Arthur's life, or Hosea wasn't as great of a man as he was. To remind the player of how much worse Arthur can be, and to be a good man in the story, not the rat. Dutch represents a father figure and morality to Arthur, being throughout the first half of the story the moral compass, the man that always knows the right thing to do, preaching loyalty to the gang and doing what he believes to be the right thing from his moral high horse, from who to rob, when to rob, who to save, and who to kill. But as the story continues, the player sees how the gang is misled by Dutch and his teachings, leading them again and again into traps and failures, for one last score, some his fault and some not. But with the actions Dutch takes, the gang gets picked off one by one, falling into mismanagement and infighting, and with more gang members either dying or running off.
Reverend? Reverend. What are you doing here?
I'm leaving.
Running away?
I suppose so, yes, I'm running away. I tried to make Dutch see sense, but he's very strange recently.
And the women? Little Jack? You leaving them?
I told them to run too. I asked them to come with me, but they wouldn't. I'm changed. I'm a changed man, Arthur. I can't die for a bunch of nonsense sprouted by a fool.
I understand.
You're not a good man, Arthur, but you're not all bad either. Everything will be... Your journey, your path will be just fine.
I'm worried my path is coming to an end, Mr. Swanson.
Maybe. I felt that way for a long time about myself, but you'll do what's right.
I don't know about that.
I do. Save who you can and let the rest rot. And look after yourself.
Maybe. We'll see.
You do see. You just can't quite admit it to yourself.
All aboard! Be well, Reverend. All aboard!
You too, Arthur?
Sure. Good luck out there.
You lived your life like a man, Arthur, and you turned into a good man. If we were all like you, things might have turned out differently.
You're getting mighty sentimental, Reverend.
Dutch then becomes disillusioned of his own teachings, and that he can't fail them, and how he isn't the one in the wrong. He begins to go against his own teachings, showing that he may not have even believed in his own morality that he's preached to the gang the entire time. Or maybe it's just because he started to lose and kept losing that he became more irrational and started lashing out without care.
Them now. You call them.
Jesus. What part of your philosophy books cover feeding a fella? Good goddamn alligator, Dutch.
Part that covers weakness.
And now with Hosea now gone after another botched robbery, there's no one to stop Dutch from having these random acts that don't make sense. It seems that Hosea kept a leash on Dutch and influenced him to make the right decisions. But now that Hosea is dead, Dutch then was allowed to run free and have no one to rein him in. And with that, Arthur and the player begin to notice his descent into madness.
Working it all out. Once and for all, Arthur.
What now?
We're back, and I'm sitting here, and I am contemplating the great journey of the sun and considering a famous chess move. Those oily enactors of a mediocre justice, the Pinkertons, and their benefactor, the depressing millionaire Leviticus Cornwall, they want us, Arthur. They want us. And they are going to have us.
Maybe they ain't the problem.
Meaning?
I don't know. It's just, well, I can't help but feel we would have been better running off someplace else.
But the game ain't over, Arthur. I mean, I ain't played my final move, but
Guess I'm more interested in surviving than winning at chess.
and maybe life ain't such a thing to cling on to so tightly.
No doubt. But what's our move here?
You sound like Hosea. I miss him.
I asked you a question.
What do you think?
We can't stay here. That much is obvious. Where are we gonna run to? I mean, they chased us from the west. They chased us over the mountains. They ran us into the sea.
Arthur, do you have my back?
Always, Dutch. But there's more than your back to worry about. We need more money. We've been on the run for months now, and I seen you killing folk in cold blood like you always told me not to. And I'm sorry, but I can't help but think that if we
There is country in Roanoke Ridge past Butcher Creek I believe we could hold.
Okay.
You and Charles, you can take folks up that way.
Micah and I need to do some reconnaissance. I ain't got a final plan yet. Arthur, I ain't got it. I just need time. I need time and no traitors.
And around this time, Arthur begins to challenge Dutch on his decisions of the gang, and becomes the new moral man of the gang, or at least to whoever is still left alive and hasn't fled yet. To where Dutch attempts to hold the power by trying to get rid of Arthur and John, trying to leave Arthur to die. And with Dutch's betrayal, it begins to unravel everything Arthur has held as a person. And even with his own morals, bringing into question all of the things he has done and if it was the right thing and if it was really worth it to do. To all of the killing and robbing and for what he thought was for the betterment of his family. But his family is dying. And he is too far in now and he needs to play it out. Towards some of the last missions, Arthur then challenges Dutch on allowing the gang to disappear. And in fact, he insists on it, allowing John and his family to leave and go to safety to save them from the law and death that will follow. But Dutch doesn't take kindly to this and tries to leave John to die, to hold on to what little power he has left over the gang.
He insists upon it. Insists.
At the end of chapter 5, Arthur has a coughing fit and is brought to the doctor to where he finds out he has TB.
What is it?
It's not good news.
I guess that.
You got tuberculosis. Really sorry for you, son. It's a hell of a thing.
What you mean?
You're real sick. It's a progressive disease, and you'll be... Now, the best thing is rest, and getting somewhere warm and dry, and taking it easy. Now, is that possible?
Sure, I can just take my winters in my country club in California. No, it's not possible.
Well, like I said, I'm real sorry.
Here is a major turning point in Arthur's character development. He always thought he'd have a long life to live, or at least a decent one in the life of a gunslinger. to then suddenly find out that he only has 6 months to live and doesn't know what to do with those 6 months. And with Dutch becoming even more savage, Arthur comes to the realization that the ends no longer meet the means. And everything that he has been taught is a lie, and he becomes a lost man looking for purpose once more. Still not being able to turn on Dutch, but looking for ways out for others around him like John and letting the Reverend go. Arthur is now a dying man that has time to focus on his life and the life he has led, opening his eye to the world in a different light, to the things he has done and the people that he's hurt, struggling with the mortality of his life and the morality that he has led through it. With time ticking down with every cough, he doesn't know what to do. And this is when one of my utmost favorite scenes comes into play, where Arthur sits down with Sister Calderon and finally, for the first time, opens up about his situation and lets the player know what he's feeling. And it allows Arthur to have a new point of view on the life he has left to live.
Morgan! Are you okay?
Oh, never better. What are you doing here?
Well, I'm on my way down to Mexico. They're finally sending me on a mission. Brother Dorkins is very jealous. What's wrong?
I'm dying, sister.
Okay.
Yeah, I got TB. I got it. Beating a man to death for a few bucks. I've lived a bad life, sister.
We've all lived bad lives, Mr. Morgan. We all sin. But I know you.
You don't know me.
Forgive me, but that's the problem. You don't know you.
What do you mean?
I don't know, but whenever we happen to meet, you're always helping people and smiling.
I had a son. He passed away. I had a girl who loved me. I threw that away. My mama died when I was a kid. And my daddy, well, I watched him die. And it weren't soon enough.
My husband died a long time ago. Life is full of pain. But there is also love and beauty.
What am I gonna do now?
Be grateful that for the first time, you see your life clearly.
Sure.
Perhaps you could help somebody. Helping makes you really happy.
But I still don't believe in nothing.
Often, neither do I. But then I meet someone like you, and everything makes sense.
You're too smart for me, sister. I guess I'm afraid.
There is nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act.
With this, Arthur has new backing and revelation to help others and turn his new life around, even if there isn't much time to live. Doing with what little time he has left to do a loving act. Arthur decides he's going to become a changed man and right the things he is wrong. But he has a conundrum, that he believes he is too far gone to fix everything he has broken, or even come close to redeeming himself of the life of crime he has led. To the point that he rejects when people say thanks or call him a good man or a great man for the actions he has done. Because he thinks he can never be a great man and that he is only now beginning to turn the page to be one. But he believes that when he dies, no matter what he has done, no matter how well he has helped people, that everyone is going to remember him as a bad man, that has done bad things, because, well, he is. But this scene changes the way Arthur thinks about himself, making him realize that from the sister's point of view, he is a good man, and that he is always helping people and putting smiles on people's faces because he is a good man. So Arthur will try his best with those in need and protect what is left of his family, and help those he has wronged. By saving a widow from death and starvation out in the woods, to dissolve people's debts to the gang, or to handing out money to those in need. Around this time, I also felt the time ticking, and felt like many that I didn't have long till Arthur was gone and I'd soon lose a beloved character. So I began to take the game more slowly, exploring the map and getting lost in the world, with wild adventures and characters spreading across it, finding hidden Easter eggs, treasures, weapons, and hats hidden across the map, and finding areas I would have never known existed. As of today, I'm 98% through the game on my most recent playthrough over the Christmas holiday, and I can't finish what's left of the 2%. Not because it's impossible, but because I want to be able to come back to that 2%. To many, they say the world of Red Dead Redemption is lifelike, but I like to say it's lived in. The world feels oddly real to the animals, locations, and the people that you come across during your gameplay. All of these side quests and people you meet along your journey add to the world, and it is a shame that other games can't create such an atmosphere in their games, because this one feature helps define the Red Dead series over other AAA games. Heading into the final mission, I find why Arthur changed to be incredibly compelling. His decay is not just physical, it's spiritual. He goes on a journey that changes him as the person that we first met him as. In a different world, Arthur still could have died of TB without making any changes to behavior whatsoever. But only if the gang would have held together and its bond still stayed strong, without turning on each other or being picked off by the Pinkertons. And if the future they wanted still seemed possible for them to grasp. Arthur would be the same man he was at the beginning, but it is only in the eyes of death that makes a man question their life, and what they have done that they could have fixed or maybe they wanted to do differently, and change themselves. It allows them to see the world more clearly, and in Arthur's final moments, Arthur puts his hat on for what is believed to be the last time. He begins riding back into camp. We get to reminisce on the story and how Arthur has changed as a person, with voiceovers of other characters reminding Arthur of what he has done and what happened throughout the story and how he has changed as a person. When Arthur reaches camp, he spills the beans on the rat.
We just got plenty of time, Micah. We all need to have a little chat.
Black Lung, you're back. Hooray.
I just saw Agent Milton, Dutch. Abigail shot him. She's okay. Not that you care too much about that. You rats. All of you. Seems old Micah was pretty close with Milton.
What the hell are you talking about, cowpoke?
You talked.
That's a goddamn lie.
Dutch.
Dutch, think of the future.
Milton told me.
And you believe him, Black Lung? You believe him?
It all makes sense now.
No, it damn well doesn't.
Dutch, think.
Dutch, be practical now.
Dutch!
John?
You left me! You left me to die! My boy, I didn't have a choice. John, I didn't have a choice.
Left me!
All of you, you pick your side now because this is over. Oh, them years, Dutch. For this snake.
Oh, be quiet, cowpoke. Be quiet. You live in the clouds.
No, you be quiet, Mr. Bell, and put down your gun.
There's Pinkertons coming, fast!
Now! Who amongst you is with me? And who is betraying me?
But right before what little of the gang can start picking each other off, the Pinkertons show up and a shootout begins. And Arthur and John make a run for it. Just like earlier discussed in the video, Arthur has a decision to make. And he chooses to save John and his family to allow John, in Arthur's eyes, to live the life that he couldn't have. And give John the chance to be a family man, sacrificing himself to save John.
I think I've pushed all I can.
Come on.
You go.
We ain't got time for this, not now.
We ain't both gonna make it. Go. Now. I'll hold them off. It would mean a lot to me. Please. There ain't no more time for talk. Go.
Arthur.
Go to your family.
Arthur!
Get the hell out of here and be a goddamn man.
You're my brother.
I know. I know.
As Arthur holds off the horde of Pinkertons to save John, he's attacked by Micah and is beaten to near death when Dutch steps out of the darkness. And once again, Arthur tells Dutch that Micah is the rat, and he's the reason that they've always known where the gang is and what the gang's doing. And one of the most heart-wrenching moments happened.
I gave you all I had. I did.
Arthur, to the end, was a loyal dog. Even with all that has happened to him and what Dutch has done to him, he gave him all he had. And with some of his last breaths, Arthur gives Dutch and Micah a reality check of their situation.
We made it. We won. Come on.
John made it. He's the only one. The rest of us... No. But I tried. In the end, I did.
Come on. Let's go. We can make it.
And as Dutch and Micah run away, we watch one of the most tear-jerking scenes of all time. As Arthur, with what little strength he has left, crawls to the cliff edge and watches the sun rise one last time.
Crash of words.